how do tenants take advantage of landlords? Well, they take advantage of landlords in many different ways, and we're going to go over some of the schemes that they do. So, scheme number one, they come into the office or they submit fake W-2s. Now, this is a big problem because you want somebody to go into your unit that can afford to be in your unit. So if they submit fake W-2s, then it's a possibility they cannot afford to be in your unit. So you have to really check with the W-2s. Some management companies, they really don't focus on the W-2 income. You're actually supposed to, because you want them, if the rent's $500, it needs to be 3 times that. So you actually want $1,500 a month in W-2 income so that they can afford your unit, which is $500, and then they have another $500 that they can use towards food. So this is very important for them to have. But let's go to another one. Leaving the utilities in your name. If you leave the utilities in your name, when the tenant moves in, as a landlord, you are legally binding and obligated to keep those utilities on. You cannot cut the utilities off if they don't put them into their name. So you really need to make sure that you put the utilities, have them put the utilities in their name before they move in. And then you would have to call and verify they put the water, electric, and gas in their name. Okay, so let's look into another one. This one is pretty good. Cash in hand. Anytime someone says, I have cash in hand, essentially it seems like, wow, they're going to be a good fit. They have cash in hand, they're ready to go, they're ready to take action. But that a lot of times can be a big red flag, because cash in hand simply means that I just robbed a store down the street and I got cash in hand to move in right now. Another thing is, hey, can I pay 6 months in advance? Can I go ahead and pay for 6 months? Can I pay for a whole year up front? These are individuals that probably don't keep really good track of their income and money, and they want to go ahead and pay it all up right now because they know they're going to waste the money. Those are not the type of individuals you really want in your house. You want people that are going to be budgeting, keeping track of their money. They know exactly how much they make at their job place, and they can calculate, this is how much I need for food, this is how much I need for living. So you really want to stay away from individuals that say, I have cash in hand, I'm ready to pay right now. Because a lot of times that can be a really big headache. On top of that, while we're on it, when we say the word cash, any landlord should not be taking cash. Cash could be a very bad thing. So when someone pays with cash and you decide to go down, to the nearest Office Depot and write them a receipt, there is several disadvantages for the landlord, let alone the property management company, as well as the resident that's living in the unit. You don't really have a paper trail to say that you've been paying on time. So accepting cash is actually not the best of things. Now, a cashier's check is different. Yes, it's considered like cash, but it's still a paper trail. A cashier's check is an actual physical check. So you don't want to, as a property manager, up and coming, you're new, you don't want to accept cash. Cash in real estate can actually be a disadvantage. So instead, what you want to do is take cashier's check, you want to take money order, or you want to take credit card payments, or you want to take direct ACH. It comes directly from their bank account directly to you. And another option you can actually do is just direct deposit from their actual checks. You will have to create a special form, and their employer has to sign it, and then the employer will take it out of their check. Of course, this is with also the permission of the resident, but they'll take it directly from their check and pay rent. It's just like Social Security coming out, Medicaid, Medicare coming out of their check, any other insurance, 401k, it automatically comes out the check. Sometimes it's best to just go ahead and take it out the check and let the rent get paid just from the check that way. Another trick that residents will play, fake injuries. We have a situation with a student right now where the resident said that there's mold inside the bathroom. Oh, there's mold in the bathroom. And so what happened was, in this particular case, the property manager said, we're not going to renew the lease. So this resident said, you know what? Well, there's mold in the bathroom. I'm going to have to go call my lawyer. And that's exactly what she did. She went and called her lawyer, and her lawyer filed a lawsuit against the property manager for $30,000. Mainly, I mean, they can't prove that it's a retaliation, but things like this happen. So to prevent something like this, essentially, you probably want to start doing your inspections. You want to do an inspection. If you don't feel comfortable with the person, maybe an inspection once a month until you feel comfortable, every 3 months until you feel comfortable, or every quarter. So every 4 months, you do an inspection on the unit. You take a look at the furnace, you take a look at other things. But either way, you have to be aware of this particular scam because the residents are doing things like this. But like I said, it's things that you can do to prevent certain things from happening in regards to the scams. A lot of times, a resident or a property manager, they'll offer the resident to be able to pay with a credit card. This is a big scam that I really don't like, but there's kind of a way somewhat around it, but it's not an effective way around it. But a resident will pay with their credit card, and then they will later on call the credit card company and do a chargeback. A chargeback is pretty much they go ahead and pay their rent, and then after they pay their rent, they call the credit card company and say, this is a fraudulent transaction. Can you please stop that payment and give me back my money? And then the landlord has a big chunk of money taken back out of their bank account because the resident decided to, do a chargeback. So one of the things that you can do to combat that is simply, if it happens, it happens. There's nothing really you can do about it. But if you use property management software, which is something that you should consider, there are some out there that you can get for free, but you would need to look at the property management software video in regards to which ones I would recommend based on where you are as a property manager or investor. But you would have your property management software, they can pay their rent payment inside of their portal. And so when they do that chargeback, yes, the money will come back out of your account and it goes back onto their credit card. But then it should automatically show that they owe that rent again. Hey, there was a chargeback and you owe the rent again. So the way you would combat that, and the way we combat it, is simply, hey, we've noticed that there's been 2 chargebacks or 2 reversals, so your ability to pay with a credit card is no longer going to be available for the next 90 days. So 3 months, you cannot make a credit card payment. And the same thing goes for ACH. If they pay with their bank account and they keep getting reversals, they don't have enough money in the bank account, then simply you just go ahead and say strike 1, strike 2, and then at that point at strike 2, not 3, you say, hey, we won't be able to accept ACH or credit card payments. From now on, you have to pay with certified funds. Certified funds means cashier's check, money order, or you can simply pay through a family friend or anything like that at the nearest convenience store. Sometimes pay near me. You can go to a gas station, you can go to Walmart, and they can pay that way. So those are the 3 options that they will have to pay if by some chance they get it disarmed in regards to the credit card or ACH. So let's move on to another, illegal subletting. Illegal subletting, or another term is probably called arbitraging. So what happens here, the tenant rents your place and then they don't actually live in it. What they do is they go ahead and rent it out themselves to someone else or other individuals because they feel they can make more money. This might be the case. Let's say, for instance, your rent is $500, and then they know that they can rent this same place out for $1,000. They make $500 in their pocket. The landlord gets $500. Now, you would think that the landlord should be okay with this. Well, the landlord's getting guaranteed income, and everything's good to go. Well, what happens is when that person, your resident, is subletting to someone else, that person causes damage, guess who gets to fix that? Not the person that's renting, which is your tenant, not the person that's subletting, they're not going to fix it. The original landlord, the original property manager, they have to fix that. They have to pay that. So it's coming out of their pocket. That's not fair. So you have to make sure you put, to fight and combat this, you have to put into your lease agreement, no subletting. And if you do find out that they are subletting, then you have to immediately take action and say, hey, we've noticed that subletting is taking place on this property. We need to advise you that this needs to terminate effective immediately. You have 24 hours to stop subletting. At that point in time, if we find that you have not stopped subletting, we will go ahead and start the foreclosure or the eviction process, depending on if you're doing a land contract or if you're doing a rental.